will on the states that they don't already control. They want to end mail voter registration in my home state to satisfy other states' regressive laws. They want to require people who have voted legally for years to prove their citizenship if they not only change their name, but if they move. A simple move requires them to drive to a county board of elections and prove that they're an American citizen when they have proven that over the course of 20 years or more of voting. This bill subjects local officials to hefty criminal fines if they register someone outside of these rules. This is an expensive, unfunded mandate in Westchester, in New York City, and in all the other states that are involved. Mr. Speaker, I yield my time back. Thank you, Mr. Morelli.
Yields back his time. Gentleman from New York has 4 minutes remaining. The gentleman from Wisconsin has chosen to save his time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was remiss earlier. I do want to remind my colleague, Mr. Roy, an estimated 150,000 women in his district have a different name on their birth certificate than on their photo ID, and 336 residents of Texas's 21st district lack a passport to a cost of $43.7 million to those who would need to get a passport should they choose that. Also, I'd like to remind my colleague, Representative Kiley, an estimated 135,000 women in his district have a different name, and roughly 268,000 residents of California's 3rd district do not have a passport. The cost to them for getting one, $34.8 million. And with that, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to my friend, the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Johnson.
The gentlewoman from Texas is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in opposition to the Voters' Republican Suppression Act. I want to give Republicans one chance to actually fulfill the rhetoric that they are spouting to the American people, which is actually giving people the right to vote. I appreciate that I appreciate efforts to ensure that our elections are safe, free from foreign interference, and that only U.S. citizens can vote. However, one of my concerns with this bill is that, as it written, it does not allow for mail or online voter registration. This bill, let me be perfectly clear, requires hardworking American people, people who go to work at 8 in the morning, who don't get off till 5 p.m., to go in person to a voter registration office, to take off work, to go in person to register to vote. That is why I have offered an amendment to have online voter registration. There are millions of service members and their families serving our countries overseas, individuals with disabilities, seniors who are unable to vote in person. Why are we keeping these barriers for eligible citizens when the world is evolving around us? We live in modern times, and so many of our lives happen online, from daily activities. We can pay our bills, we can pay our taxes online. You can apply for college, you can apply for a car and home and everything else online. For this reason, at the appropriate time, I will offer a motion to recommit this bill back to committee. If the House rules permitted, I would have offered the motion with my common sense amendment to this bill. My amendment would ensure Americans could still register to vote and prove their citizenship online or by mail. This is a simple common sense amendment, and it would make certain that we can care for the people who can't get out of their homes, and that this Congress is not depriving any eligible citizen of their right to vote. Republicans have refused this amendment. Republicans are refusing your ability to go and make it easy for citizens to register to vote in this country. Republicans can now vote to pass this amendment. I ask unanimous consent to insert the record of this text to this amendment, and I hope my colleagues will join me, and I yield back.
Without objection, the gentlewoman yields. Gentleman from New York is recognized.
And I would reserve the balance of my time.
Well, the gentleman, it's my understanding the gentleman reserves the right to close, so the gentleman from New York would now be recognized for the time remaining.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The SAVE Act is, to put it nicely, the most severe voter suppression bill ever considered at the federal level. Coupled with President Trump's recent anti-voter election executive order, the SAVE Act would end the voter registration process for all Americans as they know it. Republicans have repeatedly failed to present any evidence that non-citizen voting at a federal level has ever affected the outcome of any election. The SAVE Act will make it harder for American citizens to vote. to make it harder for married women to vote, to make it harder for service members, students, rural Americans, senior citizens, Native voters, survivors of natural disasters, and survivors of domestic abuse to vote, to make voting more expensive. In fact, to force American families to pay billions of dollars just to register to vote. Democrats want a country where every American citizen can vote. That's why we champion bills like the Freedom to Vote Act, the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and the Native American Voting Rights Act, not the SAVE Act. I fiercely oppose this anti-American bill. I urge every one of my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats alike, to defeat this extremist anti-voter SAVE Act. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The distinguished gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized for his remaining 2.5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The SAVE Act is clear. Only U.S. citizens should vote in U.S. elections. Let's summarize the arguments here. My colleagues on this side of the aisle believe that only U.S. citizens should vote in U.S. elections, and we should keep it that way. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle just moments ago said that there's no appreciable illegal voting. Well, how much illegal voting should be allowed in the United States of America? My opinion, no non-citizens should vote in U.S. elections. We can go down and look at the data. Illinois had to remove 600 non-citizens from their voter rolls. Pennsylvania had to remove 10,000 non-citizens from their voter rolls. Georgia, 1,600 non-citizens attempted to register. And in our nation's capital, where they allow non-citizens to vote in municipal elections, this past November, 388 non-citizens voted here in our nation's capital municipal elections. You'll hear the argument from my colleagues across the aisle that it's already illegal to vote if you're a non-citizen in a federal election. Well, I'd tell them, as I said earlier, it's already illegal to evade Border Patrol and to come into this country. But Joe Biden was happy to not enforce the law. Millions of illegal immigrants have come into the United States of America. And the National Voter Registration Act is drafted by this body. If you broke it, you got to fix it. We got to fix the voting laws. The National Voter Registration Act requires states to give voter registration materials when an individual comes to get a driver's license. So in states that give driver's license to illegal aliens, like the state of Illinois, just to the south of my home state of Wisconsin, they're handed voter registration materials. Mr. Speaker, I view that as insane. We should be making sure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. You'll hear arguments about it's burdensome. Mr. Speaker, I think it's absurd that we're protecting beer more than we're protecting ballots. You have to show a photo ID when you go in to buy a six-pack of beer. You should have to go in and show that you're a U.S. citizen when you register to vote. It's just that simple. And I remind my colleagues that we had this debate in this chamber last Congress. 5 Democrats joined us in voting for this bill. Well, in a few moments, we'll be voting, Mr. Speaker. It'll be darn interesting to see how many Democrats have the courage to come across the line and say, yes, only U.S. citizens should vote in U.S. elections. My colleagues should support this bill, and I yield back.
All time for debate has expired. Pursuant to House Resolution 294, the previous question is ordered on the bill. The questions on the engrossment and third reading of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Third reading.
A bill to amend the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 to require proof of United States citizenship to register an individual to vote in elections for federal office and for other purposes.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Texas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
The clerk will report the motion.
Ms. Johnson of Texas moves to recommit the bill H.R. 22 to the Committee on House Administration.
Pursuant to Clause 2B of Rule 19, the previous question is ordered on the motion to recommit. The question is on the motion. All those in favor shall say aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The motion is not agreed to.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Will resume on questions previously postponed. Votes will be taken in the following order. The motion to concur in the Senate amendment to the House Concurrence Resolution 14 if ordered. The motion to recommit H.R. 22 and the passage of H.R. 22 if ordered. The first vote will be conducted as a 15-minute vote. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, remaining electronic votes will be conducted on 5-minute votes. Pursuant to Clause 1C of Rule 19, further consideration of House Concurrent Resolution 14 will now resume. The clerk will report the title.
House Concurrent Resolution 14, Concurrent Resolution establishing the Congressional Budget for the United States Government for fiscal year 2025 and setting forth the appropriate budgetary levels for fiscal years 2026 through 2034, Senate Amendment.
The question is on the motion offered by the distinguished gentleman from Texas, Mr. Arrington. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to, and without objection, the motion to consider is.
I request the
Excuse
yeas
me,
and nays.
gentleman from Wisconsin.
Mr. Speaker, I request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested by the gentleman from Wisconsin. Those favoring a vote for the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their vote by electronic device. This is a 15-minute vote.
All new voting. Does any member wish to change their vote?
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is a question on agreeing to the motion to recommit on H.R. 22, offered by the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will redesignate the motion.
Motion to recommit H.R. 22, offered by Ms. Johnson of Texas.
Question is on the agreeing to the motion to recommit. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 5-minute vote.
voted. Did anyone wish to change their vote?
On this vote, the yeas are 211, the nays are 215. The motion is not adopted. Question is on passage of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no.
Oh.
The ayes have it. The bill is passed.
Mr. Speaker,
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
I ask for the yeas and nays.
Yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. Sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. The members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 5-minute vote.
viewers voting? Does any member wish to change their vote?
On this vote, the yeas are 220, the nays are 208. The bill is passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Chair will remind all persons in the gallery they are here as guests of the House and that any manifestation of approval or disapproval of proceedings is in violation of the rules of the House. The chair lays before the House an enrolled resolution.
Figures no. Then what?
House Joint Resolution 24, resolution providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title V United States Code of the rules submitted by the Department of Energy relating to Energy Conservation Program, Energy Conservation Standards for walk-in coolers and walk-in freezers.
House will be in order. The chair will now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor a remarkable constituent and community leader, Alan Seebach, Sr. of Tappan, New York. Alan is a lifelong resident of Tappan and a U.S. Navy veteran who served our nation during the Korean War. But his service didn't stop when he returned home. In fact, it was just getting started. He joined the Volunteer Fire Association of Tappan in 1950, and for nearly 75 years, he's been a cornerstone of the department. Alan served as chief of the Tappan Fire Department from 1965 to 1967, and again from 1972 to 1974. He later became fire commissioner, a role he held for 27 years, 13 of them as chairman of the district. Alan's leadership, mentorship, and tireless dedication to the safety and well-being of his neighbors have left a lasting mark not only on the department, but on the entire Tappan community. As one local fire leader put it, Alan Seebach is the Tappan Fire Department. I want to thank Alan for everything he's done for the people of Tappan, of Rockland County, and of New York's 17th District. His legacy of service is the best of who we are, and I am proud to call him a friend. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Illinois seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to honor the 10-year anniversary of Beyond Legal Aid, a vital community-driven legal advocacy organization that has spent the last decade advancing justice from the ground up. They've successfully built a grassroots network of lawyers and advocates to address critical legal needs to close the equity gap in justice. Their work is grounded in fundamental truth that an injustice to one member of our community is an injustice to all of us. Beyond Legal Aid places impacted communities at the center of their advocacy, reshaping what legal support can and should look like. Beyond Legal Aid in Chicago has worked for 10 years to inspire and enact change across my district and has represented over 5,000 clients in immigration and housing cases. As an ardent supporter of community-driven grassroots activism, I commend Beyond Legal Aid for 10 years of fighting against systematic inequities. I sincerely appreciate your dedication and look forward to supporting Beyond Legal Aid in building towards a world where justice is not a privilege, but a birthright. I yield back.
For what purposes does the gentleman from Nebraska seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize the life of Harry Lynn of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, a family man, beloved community member, and World War II veteran. Sadly, Harry passed away last week at the age of 102. Despite the initial draft deferment due to significant visual impairment, Harry enlisted in the U.S. Army, where he became recognized as one of the Army's top 3 Morse code operators. He became a Morse code instructor and rose to the rank of Staff Sergeant. This year, we celebrate the 80th anniversary of the Allied victory because of the sacrifices of heroes like Harry. His determination to do his duty, despite personal adversity, displayed the true Nebraskan spirit to answer the call of service in one of the most challenging times in our nation's history. He and each of America's World War II veterans deserve our deepest gratitude and most sincere thanks. On April 2nd, Harry and his daughter Sherry were tragically killed in a car accident. I extend my condolences to the family members and celebrate the life of this American patriot. Harry's memory and example of service will live on in our hearts. Thank you. I yield back.
For what purposes does the gentlewoman from Florida seek recognition?
Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to celebrate my Florida Gators, the University of Florida men's basketball team, for winning the 2025 National Championship. It's their 3rd title and the first since back-to-back Gator wins in 2007. in a heart-stopping final, mostly my heart. They erased a 12-point second-half deficit to defeat the amazing Houston Cougars 65-63. Under Coach Golden, they showed the resilience, discipline, and heart that epitomizes Gator athletics. Walter Clayton Jr., the tournament MVP, led that charge, proving time and again that he and his teammates rise to the occasion when it matters most. But this championship is more than just a trophy. It's a symbol of UF's excellence, both on and off the court. It reflects the strength of our state's public universities and the pride we all share as Floridians. The Gator Nation is still humming, and as a proud alum, along with my dad, brother, husband, and all three of my kids, let me just say it's great to be a Florida Gator. So congratulations to all the players and coaches and all the students and alumni who cheered them on. Our Gator boys stayed hot and brought a title home. Go Gators! I yield back.
For what purposes does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
Request unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
In America, you can't drive a car, board a plane, buy fireworks without an ID proving you are who you say you are. So why folks are allowed to vote to decide the future of this country without proving that they are a citizen first? Mr. Speaker, I rise today in honor of the House passing the SAVE Act just moments ago. It's common sense that only American citizens should be able to vote in American elections. Congressman Chip Roy's SAVE Act will close election loopholes by ensuring that every state requires voters to provide proof of citizenship before registering to vote. When non-citizens go to the ballot box, the electoral system is compromised and American votes are diluted. The American people have the right to determine the future of our country, and we refuse to be disenfranchised by illegal votes. I was proud to support the SAVE Act when it passed the House today. And Mr. Speaker, I yield back my time.
For what purposes does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to recognize the remarkable achievement of a teacher from Wilson, North Carolina. Mr. Johannes Amarino, a high school science teacher at Sally B. Howard School, has been awarded the Burroughs Welcome Fund 2025 Career Award for STEM teachers. The award honors outstanding educators who are committed to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The grant will be used to set up science equipment and living labs in the school's new high school building and provide essential supplies. The award includes $175,000 over 5 years. STEM will play a crucial role in the future of education, and Mr. Marino is proving that North Carolina is leading the way. Congratulations to Sally B. Howard School. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purposes does the gentleman from Mississippi seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in honor of the life and legacy of Ryan Griffin, a devoted father, community leader, and an accomplished professional who left an indelible mark on Laurel, Mississippi, and beyond. Ryan was a man of service, whether through his career in journalism or communications, his leadership in civic organizations like Kiwanis and United Way, or his unwavering dedication to his hometown. From the football field at West Jones High School to the halls of the University of Southern Mississippi, Ryan exemplified leadership, integrity, and a passion for bringing people together. Above all, Ryan's love for his family, his faith, and his community defined his life. His impact will be felt for generations to come. My prayers are with his children, his loved ones, and all who had the privilege of calling him a friend. May we honor the legacy and continue his commitment to service and kindness. And Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purposes does the gentleman from Maryland seek recognition?
To address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my rule.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to remember my beloved friend and Montgomery County legend, Jack Fitzgerald, who passed away this week at the age of 89. He will be sharply missed by friends, family, and customers of Fitzgerald Auto Malls up and down the East Coast. Jack's life embodied the restless, adventuresome spirit of American entrepreneurial business at its very best. Over the course of his extraordinary life, he built Bethesda Auto from a single storefront in the early 1950s into a massive success with dealerships across Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Florida. An old-fashioned businessman devoted to the community, he was an eloquent champion of customer safety, consumer protection, and employee well-building. He pioneered the installation of child safety seats before it became an industry standard. He was friends not just with CEOs of auto companies, but with Ralph Nader. Remarkably, Jack transferred his company to employee stock ownership over the last year before his death. His legacy now lives on in his employees and in everybody in Montgomery County, Maryland who loved him. Please join me in saluting the life of Jack Fitzgerald, who was a pillar of our community, a local hero, and may his memory be a blessing. Yield back.
Does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
Ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute, to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to congratulate Lori Frazier Bearden, a resident of Savannah, Georgia, who will serve as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Employment and Training Administration, ETA, at the United States Department of Labor. Ms. Bearden earned her bachelor's degree in political science from Columbus State University in Georgia and her master's degree in public administration from Auburn University. In this role, Ms. Bearden will assist Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer in executing President Donald Trump's mission of prioritizing American workers, veterans, and retirees. She will work to advance the ETA's mission of contributing to the more efficient functioning of the U.S. labor market by providing high-quality job training, employment, labor market information, and income maintenance services, primarily through state and local workforce development programs. Ms. Bearden's dedication to public service and expertise in navigating complex policy landscapes make her an asset to the Trump administration. Ms. Bearden, congratulations on this exciting achievement. We all look forward to watching you succeed and wish you the best in your new role. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Ohio seek recognition?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor U.S. Coast Guard Admiral Linda Fagan, a trailblazer. Her decades of service have strengthened our nation and brought pride to the people of Ohio. Throughout her distinguished 40-year career, Admiral Fagan broke barriers. She led with strength of purpose. As the first woman to serve as Commandant of the United States Coast Guard and the first woman to lead a branch of our armed forces, she made history with integrity and fortitude. Her service spanned all 7 continents. From the icy waters of the poles to ports around the world, she safeguarded our nation's interests with professionalism and resolve. Her deep expertise in marine safety is unmatched, and she holds the title of Gold Ancient Trident, the first of that honor and a symbol of enduring leadership in one of the Coast Guard's most critical missions. Yet, patriots must acknowledge with concern the abrupt dismissal of Admiral Fagan just 1 day after a presidential inauguration with only 3 hours' notice. Actions that politicize our armed services undermine the trust and stability of these institutions. Admiral Fagan's legacy is not one of partisanship, but of patriotism. Let us honor and thank her for her service. Our military remains above political winds, guided as she was by our Constitution, principle, high professionalism, and a deep love of country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Service Admiral. Now we have the watch.
For what
Thank you,
purpose
and
does
I
the
yield
gentleman
back.
from Ohio seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize the Girl Scouts of Western Ohio. These hardworking and dedicated scouts are agents for positive change in their communities and work every day to create a better world. In 2024, 44 senior and ambassador Girl Scouts from the Girl Scouts of Western Ohio earned the prestigious Gold Award. In pursuit of this distinction, each scout identified a specific issue close to their hearts and utilized teamwork and collaboration to effect positive change in their community, leaving a lasting impact. Carolyn Koch, a graduate of Blanchester High School, created a Build Community Through Theater program to engage youth and help them develop confidence. Promoting drama education in her community, Caroline invested her time and energy in creating a middle school drama camp free of charge for 5th to 8th grade students in the Blanchester local school district. The Girl Scout promise reads, "On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law." Carolyn and each of the other recipients of the Girl Scout Gold Award are the embodiment of this promise. I would also like to recognize the parents and Scout leaders who supported each Girl Scout on their path to this milestone. Your support made all the difference. Congratulations, Girl Scouts, especially Carolyn. Your investment in our community is appreciated, and Ohio can't wait to see what's in store for you next. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, it is an honor to serve as the ranking member of the Veterans Affairs Committee, and today I rise to recognize one veteran in particular, my great uncle, Manso Takahashi. Uncle Mon served in the legendary 442nd Infantry Battalion and gave his life in service to our nation on this very day 80 years ago. He gave the last full measure of devotion while his family, my grandparents and parents, were incarcerated in camps simply because they were Japanese Americans. Uncle Mon's story is just one of nearly 18,000 Japanese American soldiers who embodied the motto, "Go for broke." They risked everything for a country that had denied them so much because they believed in the promise of America. But that promise is fragile. The Trump administration erased the story of the 442nd from the Army's website and now seeks to gut the care our veterans have earned. We cannot let that happen. To truly honor our veterans, we must defend their legacy,
The gentleman's time has expired.
and uphold the nation they fought to build.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Mr. Speaker.
For what purposes does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, this morning all 216 of my GOP colleagues, along with just 4 out of 212 Democrats, passed the SAVE Act, which is a bill that mandates proof of citizenship for those registering to vote. I think most people think that's already required and mandated. But guess what? Even though it's in the Constitution, federal law mandates that only citizens can vote, there are states that have systems in place that allow non-citizens to register. And guess what? They vote. To address this problem, the SAVE Act also requires states to establish a program to remove non-citizens from their voter rolls. And just last month, even though Iowa did what it could to correct this problem, 277 non-citizens were on the voter rolls and 35 of them voted. That may not sound consequential, but there are races that are decided by less than that. The votes against the SAVE Act today were nothing more than to allow non-citizens to vote in the United States of America. I think that falls into the category of the 80-20 position. All I know, Mr. Speaker, is a vote against the SAVE Act today was a vote against American citizens' voting rights. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I am so proud to honor Isaac Samuelson, a young leader from Long Island and a member of Boy Scout Troop 613 based in West Hempstead. Isaac spearheaded a project to preserve over 20 years' worth of religious texts, prayer books, and educational materials that had just been stashed away somewhere in his synagogue. He, along with his family, friends, and Troop 613 members, spent hours organizing, ensuring that important religious materials could be preserved and used by future generations. Isaac exemplifies the values of Boy Scouts and civic responsibility. He is a role model, not just for young people in our community, but for all of us. Thank you, Isaac, for your leadership in our community. I am so proud to be your representative. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from California seek recognition?
I rise to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Okay. Thank you. Today marks 46 years since Taiwan Relations Act became law. This landmark bill has strengthened the partnership with Taiwan and shaped America's foreign policy in the Indo-Pacific region. And I want to recognize that Taiwan is a trusted leader in freedom, democracy, and trade, and is also a needed partner in security against shared interests or shared threats. As chairwoman of the East Asia and Pacific Subcommittee, I have worked on bipartisan bills to give Taiwan a rightful seat at the table in international organizations such as WHO and IMF. And I led the charge to track and ensure efficient delivery of weapons that Taiwan has purchased from the United States. This year, I introduced a bipartisan, bicameral bill to enhance U.S.-Taiwan economic and trade ties. Our partnership with Taiwan is more important than ever. Thank you, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Virginia seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the president posted on social media, quote, "This is a great time to buy." And then shortly after that, he paused his tariff plan, the very one that sent markets into a tailspin. The market bounced back, although it's down again. And the president celebrated in the Oval Office with top financial executives. And they celebrated at whose expense? The parents who watch their kids' college savings accounts get depleted, the retirees who rely on their investments to carry them through their remaining years, and the small business owners, including many in my district, who don't know how to plan and don't know how to keep the lights on at this point. This wreaked havoc on millions of Americans, and those Americans also deserve to know about what happened and who profited off of it. Did the financial executives know about what was going to happen? Did the president's donors know? Who knew and who profited from this great time to buy tweet and everything that was leading up to it? We need a full investigation into what happened and who profited from it. The American people deserve better. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Indiana seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I somberly rise to recognize the tremendous life and career of the Honorable Judge Michael J. Kramer from Ligonier, Indiana. Judge Kramer was a well-recognized titan of the judicial branch in the state and beyond. Prior to his sudden passing last month, he achieved the legendary feat of becoming the longest-serving judge in Noble County history. His many accomplishments include being named Distinguished Hoosier by former Governor Frank O'Bannon, being named Volunteer of the Year by Drug Free Indiana, and becoming Advocate of the Year for the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. Michael was serving as the chair of Drug Free Noble County and was a member and former president of the Noble County Bar Association at the time of his passing. Noble County was lucky to have lived under the unbiased and truth-seeking gavel of Judge Kramer. He will be sorely missed by his surviving family and the community he loved so much. Despite his unexpected passing, the institutions he helped form and the community he made safer will continue to honor his memory and legacy. The world can use more men like Judge Michael Kramer. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Virginia seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to congratulate the Fredericksburg Nationals on winning their first ever Carolina League Championship. Under manager Joe Lowry's leadership, the team made a thrilling late-season run and delivered a dominant performance to win the championship. Standout prospects like Seaver King and Travis Sikora showed incredible talent, while veteran leaders brought unity and heart to the clubhouse. My team was honored to represent a congratulatory letter when joining your recent ring ceremony and celebration. This win is not just a triumph for the team, it's a moment of pride for owner Art Silber and his family and the entire Fredericksburg community. Congratulations to the Fredericksburg Nats on the unforgettable season and championship well earned. I yield back.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition. Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker,
I rise today with a heavy heart to honor the lives of Christopher Camp and his beloved sons, David and Thomas, of Bristol Borough, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. A father and two sons bound by an unshakable love and now mourned in the wake of an unfathomable tragedy. Mr. Speaker, Chris Camp was a man who chose compassion not as an occasional act, but as a daily calling across every corner of our community. He was known not only for what he did, but for how he did it. With an unwavering commitment to lifting up those most in need, he was, in every sense of the word, a guardian of the vulnerable. To the homeless, to those struggling with mental health challenges, Chris was a lifeline. He met people in their lowest moments and helped them chart a path back to hope and dignity. And even in his final moments, as Thomas struggled, Chris and his son David did what they have always done. They responded with love. And in their courageous attempt to save him, they gave their own lives, a sacrifice that speaks to the very core of who they are as human beings. Mr. Speaker, the magnitude of this loss has reverberated throughout Bristol Borough and our entire Bucks County community and far beyond. May we remember Chris for how he lived with open hands, an open heart, and a tireless devotion to the forgotten and to the unseen. Today, Mr. Speaker, let us lift up the Camp family in our prayers, and let us commit to carrying forward Chris's legacy, to serve with compassion, to love without condition, and to never turn away from those who need us most. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life of Ann Evans, who was called home on February the 12th. There are some people so important and central to a city and a community that their lives become intertwined. Ann Evans' life and the life of San Diego for the last 60 years were magnificently intertwined. Ann was America's finest lady, and she made San Diego America's finest city. Every major advancement in the last 60 years that made San Diego great, from developing our beloved Mission Bay to redeveloping our urban core, you could find Ann right in the middle of it. Ann was a doer. She was fearless, brilliant, and a trailblazer, always anxious to make things better for everyone. This is why she became a leading philanthropist and gave back generously to the city she loved and taught her children to do the same. The city of San Diego's heart is broken with the passing of Ann. We would have never become America's finest city without her. We pray for her family, her greatest legacy to our city, and we thank God for the life of Ann Evans, the guardian of San Diego. Rest in peace, Ann Evans, and job well done. With that, I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, it is my honor today to wish the happiest of birthdays to my dear friend and brother in Christ, Richard Lockamy. I have known Richard for as long as I can remember. With age, the more I admire and respect and appreciate Richard is growing with every day. Briefly, Richard grew up in Benson, North Carolina, the oldest of four. He attended Shaw University, followed by North Carolina State University, where he received a graduate degree in mathematics. He married Lena Lockamy, with whom he shared 48 wonderful years of marriage before Lena passed into her eternal heavenly home nearly 5 years ago. Richard and Lena had one son, Marcus, who in his own right is now a wonderful man. Professionally, Richard has worked at some of the world's leading companies, and for decades he has taught at the high school and collegiate level. But despite his many professional accomplishments, what truly set Richard apart in my life and in the life of many others is his faithful service to his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. With each day, in every encounter, Richard's witness is as apparent as it is infectious. I saw this personally in the Raleigh men's class of Bible Study Fellowship.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Where for nearly 40 years, Richard met with dozens of men each week.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Richard, happy birthday.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Oregon seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to address the House
minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today, House Republicans betrayed their mothers, their sisters, their daughters, and every woman in their life. The so-called SAVE Act is an anti-woman, anti-democracy voter suppression bill cloaked in lies about election integrity. With this vote, House Republicans have jeopardized access to the ballot box for nearly 70 million American women. That isn't just a number, it's personal. It's the working mom in Sandy who can't afford to take time off work to go get paperwork. It's the woman in Portland whose name no longer matches her birth certificate and doesn't have $160 for a passport. In the year 2025, I cannot believe I have to come to the House floor to argue for a woman's right to vote. But I will fight this Republican effort to disempower women today and every single day if I need to. As a mother, I will not allow this country to continue to strip our daughters of their rights. We cannot force them to grow up in a world where they have fewer rights than their mothers and grandmothers. I call on my Senate colleagues to show courage and defeat this despicable bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Wisconsin seek recognition?
I'd like to speak for a minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
On committees I was on yesterday, immigration was a topic that was brought up, and it seemed apparent to me that the party on the other side of the aisle didn't understand why we have immigration laws. First of all, it's a complete insult to the over 800,000 people who are sworn in as new citizens in this country annually. Secondly, we have to make sure the next generation of Americans here think like Americans fit in our culture, which means they're law-abiding. Just in general, the idea of having 1 million people come here without breaking the law to come here or say they need asylum when they don't means they're not going to fit in with our culture. But finally, I want to share a word from Mark Ryle, back from my state legislative days of the Carpenters Union. Again and again, he'd come into my office saying that his guys, his union carpenters, were being undercut by people coming here illegally. And he demanded that we crack down on that. Illegal immigration drives down wages of Americans who are already here.
The gentleman's
we heard
time
that
has expired.
yesterday as the Democrats were claiming that if we kicked out the illegals, we'd have the cost of things go up, as they will. Thank you.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Arizona seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in firm opposition to the Republican passage of the so-called SAVE Act, an act of legislative voter suppression that will make it much harder for most people to vote, the cornerstone of our democracy. This bill, which just passed the Republican House, is designed to combat a non-existent problem. Non-citizens are already not allowed to vote under federal law. Instances of fraudulent non-citizen voting are exceedingly rare. You are literally more likely to get struck by lightning than encounter non-citizen voting. To address this made-up problem, Republicans have passed a draconian bill that would make it extremely difficult and costly for service members, married women, and disadvantaged Americans to register to vote. In most cases, it requires a person to present their birth certificate matching a current ID. There are no exceptions for the 70 million American women who change their married name. This bill also mandates in-person visits to register to vote, disenfranchising potentially tens of thousands of deployed service members as well as Native Americans in rural areas like northern Arizona. This is a shocking act of voter suppression. I yield back. Thank you.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Republicans just passed their budget plan. President Trump's big, beautiful bill, again. The first version didn't cut enough from critical programs like Medicaid and SNAP. This budget is a direct attack on the working and middle classes, all while handling more than $7 trillion in tax breaks for billionaires. Over 196,000 residents in my district are at risk of losing Medicaid coverage, including 73,000 children and 27,000 seniors in one district. 74,000 people who count on SNAP may not be able to put food on the table. People who are covered through the Affordable Care Act will see premiums rise by an average of almost $3,000 a year. This is what President Trump called beautiful. It's anything but. This budget won't lower costs. Coupled with the president's thoughtless tariff policies, will make life more expensive for our neighbors. We're making a beeline to a MAGA recession and perhaps a MAGA depression. This is reverse Robin Hood, stealing from the lower and middle classes to benefit the wealthiest.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Un-American. I yield my time back, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from New Mexico seek recognition?
Good morning. I ask for unanimous consent to address the House and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I want to take a moment today to share a story of why we are fighting and who we are fighting for. Every day, this administration claims they're trying to make America healthy again, and yet everything they are doing seems to indicate that they are trying to make us sicker again. They've fired 10,000 HHS health professionals, and on this floor this week, the GOP passed a reconciliation package that would cut Medicaid by billions of dollars. Every day, my constituents ask, how can this cruel agenda continue? Yesterday, I met with Rochelle Titman, a mom of 4 who was diagnosed with cancer when she was 29 weeks pregnant 8 years ago. But by the grace of God, her family, and the medical advancements made possible by the HHS, by the National Institutes of Health, by the CDC, she is here today, and her youngest daughter, Ray, is in the 2nd grade. These are the people we are fighting for. This is why we are fighting back, and this is why we oppose this cruel agenda. I yield back.
The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., April 10th, 2025. I hereby designate the period from Thursday, April 10th, 2025, through Sunday, April 27th, 2025, as a district work period under Clause 13 of Rule 1. Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.